And a warm welcome to all of you. My name is Kavya R. Chavali, and I'm your host for the largest manufacturing and supply chain conference in Asia. Now, this is the 10th year of our conference, and this year's theme is Building Back Better, Rethinking the Supply Chain Ecosystem. I do believe that the Manufacturing Supply Chain Summit is a conference that's designed to curate and present solutions to the most vexing problems faced by manufacturing and distribution logistics professionals today. Lockdowns, or for that matter, closed borders, global instability and uncertainty, labor challenges for that matter, technology challenges, sustainability issues, and unrelenting demand for a fully integrated omni-channel customer experience. Now, this is what we have all been living since the onset of pandemic early last year. We now have the answers to all these conditions 18 months into this pandemic. Now, throughout the day, our experts will be sharing insights, opportunities, and challenges with the goal of driving the industry fast forward. Proactive discussions will also allow attendees to walk away with clear and actionable insights based on experiences shared by our speakers as well as the interactions with fellow delegates. Now, I do believe that this event serves as an annual platform to exchange ideas and also collaborate on the impact of the market dynamics and new technologies. This year will be our first virtual edition for this event, but we'll also curate solutions the way we always have, by bringing you all and bringing the people together. The entire event is running live throughout the day, real people in real time sharing their experience and success. So let's take part in meaningful and engaging conversations where insights turn into constructive and creative actions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and all of our attendees joining us, I'm going to urge you all that during the panel discussions, please don't forget to share your questions if you have any, because our moderator and our speakers will be more than happy to answer them. So on that note, without any delay, it's time to kickstart with the opening panel discussion as we focus on the three key attributes around agility, resilience, and flexibility, which is a new operating model for smart manufacturing. We have with us our session moderator, the one person who will be taking all the insights from speakers. We have Mr. Vinod Kumar, Chairman, Vaquant Technology Limited. We're also joined by Mr. Venkatesh, VR, Head Customer Solutions Group, Bosch Software and Digital Solutions. Mr. Shirish Yadav, Vice President, Manufacturing and Technology, ITC Limited, Foods Division. Mr. Vaibhav Kulkarni, Works Head, Marico Limited. Mr. Sumit Sinha, Head, Consumer Health Supply Chain, India, Johnson & Johnson Private Limited. Mr. Amit Saxena, Site Director, Merck, Sigma, Aldrich Chemicals Private Limited. Mr. Zurvan, Marolia, Senior Vice President, Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited. And Mr. Amit Arora, General Manager, Manufacturing and Supply Chain, ACC Limited. So on that note, it's time to give a head start to the very first panel discussion for the day. And I'm going to hand over the proceedings to Mr. Vinod Kumar Srivastava. So with that, Vinod, over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and warm welcome to all the panelists. I think the good to be in a forum like this, or to be sharing or hearing the knowledges from all the industry experts. So with not much of background, let me just start. So first thing I think it is about smart manufacturing. This is the key, theme for this session. And I'm very, very sure that audience would walk away with a lot of nuggets once this session is over. So coming to, very traditionally, smart is a very key word in the industry from quite some time in terms of management. So it says about, this specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So this has been the, definition when we go to smart keyword in the, management perspective. And it has been a buzzword, it has been used, and it has been really effectively helped, industry wherever this philosophy is adopted. But now here comes, when we have a small kid in the home and we say smart boy and smart girl, very well done, right? Coming to that smart, somewhere I feel in my heart that it is that kind of smart when we say digitally smart. And introspection of mine is that the digital things that are happening is having all these smart features, being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And these features are being met like never ever before in the past, history of the industry and, history of humankind. This has always been, much slower, much, lesser pace than what it could be done today. With the enabled digitization, enabled electronics, chips, embedded technology, software capabilities, huge speeds that we have achieved in terms of communication. I think all these changes in the industry in last 10 years has, brought things that were never in this way before. You can actually real time look at every possible things, not only in manufacturing, household, in your, you can operate your fans and appliances. So it's a very different world coming up, and I'm sure, this will further lead to, holographic image and face-to-face talking. Those kind of stuff will become also common. But let me, for the benefit of, in general, I see the trend that the industries are fast adopting smart manufacturing techniques, smart manufacturing in the industry, and it is helping in a big way. So here we have all our panelists, and it will be great time with them to see how it is helping in their industry and what opinion they carry about this whole new world today. So let me get to Mr. Amit Arora. So Amit, how do you define this, in general perspective? One is from your specific industry, your view, but also from a general industry perspective, how you define this new operating model, right? And it is really, it's, serving to the purpose, like, is it having the resilience? Is it improving agility? What are your thoughts about it? How it is working?
Yeah, sure. I'll share a kind of a perspective. Like, all of this was anyway in planning, and the acceleration to all of this actually happened because of the unrealistic advent of the pandemic, and whatever roadmaps were there for next 5 or 10 years, all of them have got accelerated. The reason being, anyway, the industry was poised to work on high level of adaptability, work on rapid design changes, because the customer perspectives were changing and customers' demands were changing. Digital, the kind of information that is available from our operating plants as well as from the customer, all of this basically gives us a lot of meaningful decision data, which basically, if you analyze and implement, you will be able to make products which the customer will like and delight. So example, like if you see a lot of innovations that have happened, so you when we analyze the unicorns of the present world, so all of these actually have solved some or the other need that was there in the market, and that's the reason of their rise. And same way, even when manufacturing or supply chain industries are there, they have been serving the country for long, and the thing is, if they are able to solve and take advantage of all of this, what is all these accelerated changes are happening. So basically, they have to work on high level of adaptability, so that they are able to have a rapid design change based on the customers' choices being changed, and customer being more engaged in the design process itself. Then digital information technology, so a lot of data which is available, so that example, like from factories, that data can be used to predict maintenance, to have the industrial IoT, which will enable where the truck is at any point of time. It will basically give a lot of information and data, like some harsh braking was done on the way. So all of this data is currently available, which basically can be used to improve the overall process of the system. So all of this got accelerated, whether it is industrial IoT, AI, or RPA, and all of this is basically not a buzz anymore. It's basically the thing that we have to adopt, embrace, and work on, so that we are able to make solutions for the customer for present needs and future needs.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. This is no more fiction, right? And it is a reality, and I see it on ground happening. And also, Amit, you echo to that point. Um, would you like to give additional opinion? I think more if someone can come up with talking about what is that really implemented. They have seen that or done that on their perspective. So Sumit, would you like to add up anything to this?
For sure. So again, building on what Amit said, and you started with smart, I will say for long, manufacturing has lived with the core principle of saying produce more with less, right? It has been about output, productivity, how do you keep your cost in control and efficiencies, etc. So from the 4 days where Ford used to say as much as complexity as long as it is black, to a TPS and all that Toyota thing which happened for really removing wastages and bringing that single minute exchange of die as a concept. I think manufacturing definitely has gone miles, and I will say it is really exciting to see the way you will see manufacturing shop floors now are no more a very fixed module thing. It is not like you give me a frozen plant for a month and I'll work it out efficiently. Now the whole story around, if I look at even example, and then I wanted to build on the point of what is smart in my mind is, today what we're seeing is a real time. So let me give an example of even in our consumer health business, what we are also seeing is, if I realize that a defect has happened, and then I have the regular process after a week, a meeting will happen to analyze all that defect, come up with an action plan to improve, and then have implementations, execution. I think we are losing time, we are losing business, we are losing customers. This really has changed. Today, I mean, when walking the floor, we were so happy that today the technology has enabled a real-time analysis of what has gone wrong. And the information is also disseminated to everyone on the shop floor to take action on it. And that itself, it may sound very small and very counterintuitive to say, hey, no, you need to have a very great science and people to come together and analyze that. But at times those defects are good enough for an operator to go attend to and minimize the loss throughout the day and on other lines as well. And I think that is one example which I wanted to quote as what really is happening on shop floor is the real time. Smart, as you rightly mentioned, we are all doing performance appraisals with that logic. But I guess there are a few words which has changed in that smart. For manufacturing context, I'll say it is not about specific as a first thing. I don't think there is anything specific and that is smart. Today, it is very, very unclear as what will happen. Forget about next day. The next 2 shifts are also very unpredictable. And hence, I'll say the first one of S is synchronized. And there are a lot of examples which we have seen of a synchronization of what's happening really at a customer end is flowing into manufacturing. And if it is not synchronized, I can't have a very agile and a truly responsive supply chain. So manufacturing, and I'll say S is definitely a change for me. It is not specific. It is being in sync. Other words which I will say has changed is also, it's not about achievable anymore. There's nothing. I think we have seen in functions and especially in manufacturing, it is not about achievable. It is all about how adaptable. I think that is what Amit also mentioned, adaptability. It's also about even analytical in that way, that it's not like whether you have got the best output in a day or not, but what we are realizing and what we are doing even on our shop floor today is what really went well for the production to be the best on that day. And again, for those who can associate with it, it is also good days. We always count it as the best day and then forget about it. And the bad days, we will talk about like months and months of board reviews and root cause and RCPS, fishbone, and bring everything. I think the good days need more analysis. And that is what is happening in smart manufacturing, that you analyze your good days, that what led to that good day, why your outputs were better, why your losses were minimized. All that MUDA, which was again, I'm using Toyota, all that MUDA and 7 waste and all has become so real, but they are not a month exercise. They have to be real time. And that I think remains as the core if I look at smart manufacturing concept today.
That's a great input, definitely, Sumit. And I think some of the things that you shared, redefine smart, the meaning of smart, actually, little bit redefining is needed in the new world's context. I agree to the meanings that you have given, like, being synchronized is more important than being specific. Of course, specific has its own perspective, but what this factory 4.0 and smart is all about in new world is about being synchronized, being adaptable, and analytics. And also you talked about the history, to be not to be forgotten, actually, and it has to be the good and bad, both sides has to be remembered. And that's where the software and hardware related to this smart manufacturing helps out the industry. I think great inputs. And let me take one more opinion on this, because I think this question is setting up context to the whole. I'm just trying to spend a little bit more time on this question. Venkatesh, would you like to add your views onto this?
Hey, thanks, Vinod, and both Amit and Sumit brought up great points. Just continuing on the same line of specificity and synchronicity, I think one more important aspect of S is sustainability. How sustainable are your manufacturing operations? From operations is very important as well. So in Bosch, we have achieved a carbon neutrality for all our plants. So one of the key levers for achieving this carbon neutrality was digital for us. The way we implemented energy and utilities solutions across our plants gave us an edge more than what could be achieved in the regular energy audits or regular behavioral changes that you notice and do on the plants. This was going a step ahead. Metering most of our machines, collecting real-time information from the machines, and how could you use the data that you collected from the machines to do an asset benchmarking from an energy perspective and improve the overall energy optimization in the plant, right? And we have also gone to an extent of saying, can the energy efficiency data be combined with the production planning and scheduling data, so that the production schedules use up the machines that are most efficient from an energy perspective as well. So sustainability for us has been a key focus with the digital lever. The second aspect of R, right, we spoke about resilience. There's also an element of responsiveness. Resilience is a long-term response to business continuity, while responsiveness is a short-term tactical responses to what happens day in and day out. Amit rightly touched upon about the goods tracking mechanisms from the vendors or the customers and all that. So what we have done is, apart from integrating vendor data, apart from getting real-time tracking information about the goods, we have also integrated that with our production planning and scheduling data, with our forecast information and customer demand information, and built a supply chain control tower solution that puts all of these components together and generates real-time alerts, work lists for our logistics planners, so that their responsiveness and agility in day-to-day operations increases. So definitely I concur, digital is a way forward. I think in a few years down the line, we'll not be calling it smart manufacturing anyways, because I think that will be the new norm and new norm of doing manufacturing. And we definitely at Bosch believe that this defines our competitiveness of the future, and this is the way to go forward. Thanks.
I agree with you. This is going to be the future is going to be the basic way of manufacturing. I mean, probably very soon and in the near future, all the industries would be using it in some or the other way. And of course, I believe it's a journey which is progressive journey. Somebody wants to go smart on manufacturing. He can start with a little and then keep growing on that like mushroom. It is not necessary that somebody has to boil the whole ocean at one time. So that's the approach, normally industries are also taking, that they are putting their first step forward and then growing upon that, building upon that. That's the beauty of this whole, smart ways that has developed, the digital ways that has developed.
Right.
And yeah.
Another important point, which Amit also mentioned about, was the mass personalization movement that is going on, right? Sumit also touched upon about reducing complexity on the shop floor, but today we cannot afford to do that. We have to cater to a growing consumer demand that demands personalization of products. Whether in our automotive industry, you see that the amount of personalization that is happening in the cars and vehicles is very high. So how do you efficiently cater to the different variants without losing on your throughput, or without bumping up the cost, is very important, right? So enabling flexibility through digital, where we have automated the sequence of workflow the product has to take to give a final to go through the final output, right? So the flexibility and adaptability to cater to the mass personalization is also one of the important features of smart manufacturing. Yeah, that's
Yes, I echo, and I have experienced this, Venkatesh, that this is the data collection is huge. I mean, for running a smart manufacturing perspective, you need to collect the data frequently from so many points. So if somebody gets into looking at every data, he will be lost. So there is a lot of front end or customization which is needed, where the data tells that, look at me. I mean, out of thousands and millions of data points, the data point which needs to be looked at has to come to user and say that, look at me, I have the problem, or I need to be looked at. Right? So that is the another intelligence layer that is getting built up, or it is part of software and digital mechanism that are being developed to make the manufacturing smart. Thank you, Venkatesh. I think these are good insights. And let me just touch upon I think everyone is aware that with pandemic and all this stuff, a lot of sourcing and manufacturing base now getting scattered from China to other places in the world. I know there will be a pace, and but definitely there is a movement on that front. So, do you think that this new ways of agility, being agile, or setting up new standard will take a backseat, or somewhere it will be deprioritized because now people or the whole world gets on to grabbing that, or there is an opportunity where somebody can look at this is happening, so why not do it in a smarter way and kind of synergize the whole thing with the practical world, in the practical world, whatever is happening. So, Amit, would you like to share something about this? Amit Saxena.
Thanks, Vinod. I think very relevant question after the context has been set. I would just build upon what Venkatesh was talking about, or what Amit and Sumit spoke. Sumit spoke about mass production of food, and Venkatesh spoke about mass personalization or customization. I think what is very, very important, which is coming out for us as manufacturing leaders, is the word flexibility. Flexibility, because in all industries, whether it be food industry or other consumer products, as well as in my industry, which is, I would say, into mass customization, we do a lot of make to order products for different customer bases, ranging from space industry to tire industry. Flexibility is the key, because you have similar equipments, and on similar equipments you have to make different kind of products. And how smart actually helps there is, I think we have always been, traditionally manufacturing has always been focused on getting the maximum out of minimum resources, which is efficiency. What we need to now think is that how can we be more efficient in smaller runs, and how can we be more efficient in changing the product from one run to another run. So that is where I believe the benefit of smart manufacturing is. Smart manufacturing can enable the changeovers, and I can give you an example from what we are doing here. We do DNA manufacturing. these are different kind of DNAs which are required by different customers, and these are all custom DNAs because one research organization needs a different kind of strand and the second needs completely different. So we mass customized our equipment, so we call them robots, which move in 3 different dimensions, and we made certain changes in the in the input raw material where we worked with R&D, and we said, why can't we do some standardization there so that I don't have to make changes in the process, in one of the processes. So it will always start from what sales is going to do or marketing is going to do. And I think as operational leaders, we also need to be 2 to 3 steps ahead of what marketing or sales is thinking, and identify those critical processes which will get impacted because of flexibility. And then work with OEMs. Bosch is one great example, right? Work with OEMs to make smart machines with a view that what all can happen. So we should know, for example, if my pack size will undergo a change, I'm making 5 gram product today, and I might be asked to make a 1 gram product. I should know by max and min limits, and all the new equipment designs which are happening should be done in conjunction with this knowledge which comes from marketing. Work collaboratively back with R&D to say that how can you minimize my changeover by making certain changes maybe at the end of the process and not at the start of the process. And also work collaboratively with the OEMs in designing smart machines. So the problem of efficiency while being flexible, being flexible can be sorted through this collaboration. We alone and one organization or one supply chain or operations cannot do it all alone. I think so. For me, besides the S of smart, C of collaboration becomes very, very important. If we need to be efficient while being flexible. We have seen in automotive industry, the amount of effort which has happened in reducing changeovers, right? That I think concept of changeover has to flow into all other industries as well. I think automotives have been doing it for a long time. Other industries still have to do a lot of catch up, but I think we collaborate better. We can learn few things from there and still be efficient during our changeovers. So that would be my 2 cents around it, Vinod.
Thank you, Amit. I think, yeah, of course, automobile, and you come from a chemical, right? Chemical industry. So I think your perspective will be, quite related to that. And I can understand the model changeover times, and, these things are very, very, kind of, if not addressed in right way, these are the biggest loss makers on the shop floor in such industries. And
Vinod, we are also thinking of going for universal machines. Universal machines would mean which can be ramped up, which can do faster changeovers, which can be flexible, and that needs a lot of, I would say, thinking beyond and not living in the present. We have always been in now and here, and now plus here leads you to nowhere. So I think we need to be futuristic and think what marketing or sales is thinking, and be 2 steps ahead of them to really create a flexible, agile, as well as efficient manufacturing.
Absolutely. I think that's a great, input from you. So let me now look at some different perspectives. Say, if I'm not aware of, I love the concept of smart manufacturing. I want to implement it, but I'm not aware of how to do it. Is there a possibility someone can just give it in a very simple way, how to go about it, how to implement it for my industry, for, in audience, one of them want to go for it. So can someone just put a little bit of a sketch on this? Okay, this is how you can probably approach. So let me just point this to, Zurvan, can you answer this question and put your perspective here? Sorry, you are on mute.
Hi, Vinod. Morning, everybody. And I'm Zurvan. Just a small. So, yeah, before I get into that, I would like to sort of, first step back and say, why do we want smart manufacturing? The reason being that, then we answer the question of how to get it on a sort of step-by-step basis. And what we really want smart manufacturing for, and just an aside to what I've been hearing about what S stands for, to me, S stands for seamless. Because it is to do with the seamless flow of information. And since we are also in the business where there's a lot of customization and personalization, is how to get the voice of the customer from the point of purchase onto the shop floor without any corruption. When I say corruption, it could be those manual errors of detailing and how we use actually platform designs and data design libraries so that we can do quick parametric design, and within minutes, you have the voice of the customer translated into designs onto the shop floor. But I will sort of come to the question which you have particularly put to me. And as luck would have it, part of one of the things that we have been doing in our furniture, in our interior division over the last more than a decade, is to work with our SME business partners and our suppliers, who are the ones majorly facing this question which you mentioned right now. How do I move to smart manufacturing in steps? Right. A word that I very often use when I'm talking to them is appropriate automation. Don't try and think that this is a silver bullet which you can, get in one shot and get right. In fact, I would also go to say that smart manufacturing has different applicability requirements for different industries. So whether you are into mass manufacturing, whether you're into customized manufacturing, whether you're into projects, each one requires a different facet of smart manufacturing and industry 4.0. So I would obviously, if I were to go to somebody who's right at the brownfield level, because he already has an operation which he needs to get into, I would actually take the step of getting into making my equipment, my machines first talk to each other to be able to give out certain signals. So there are, for example, sensor-based solutions which are available, which can be put onto the legacy machines, which will actually start giving us information in terms of how the machine is performing. It could be vibration-based, it could be sound-based, it could be power tracking-based. Because one of the first things that we require, the building block for any smart manufacturing, is to know what is happening firstly on our shop floor. And therefore, it is critical that we first and foremost be able to gather this information, be able to ensure that we get our quality right, because these are the prime indicators of what the quality of the output is going to be. So quality assurance is something that we will get from here. See, if India is talking about getting onto the global market, if we are looking at certain amount of business moving away from China and into India, these things are critical if we have to get our hygiene right in terms of our quality. The next step beyond that would be to get machines to start interacting with each other. So first is to communicate to a central hub so that you start getting information on your quality, you start getting information in terms of preventive and predictive maintenance in order to be able to understand what is going to happen on your shop floor. So, because at the end of the day, what is smart manufacturing for? It is first and foremost to give you predictability, give you reliability of your commitments, and give you cost optimization. And I'm not saying that each of any is a priority over the other. Okay. Now, these have to be addressed if anybody is wanting to get into it in order for him to get a return from it. Now, these are steps which are building blocks to smart manufacturing. It is this that then can get scaled up subsequently as we move to newer equipment, which is what was referred to. So what was referred to in terms of moving for general purpose machines. Now, this is where that smart then moves to the next level, where you have the flexibility and availability in the machine so that one can start becoming agile in terms of responding to small batches, responding to customers changing requirements. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand one thing, that all that we manufacture, we have to keep the customer in mind. And the customers, if I were to use the word patience and tolerance level, is coming down day by day. Customer wants things, he wants them now. He wants them customized, and he wants them perfect quality, and he wants it at a lower price, which back of his mind is comparing to a China price. Okay. So we have to then start building in our flexibility aspect of it. And that is how gradually one would have to start upscaling. The actual information flow from the field and the seamless that I talked about would be at a later stage. So I would use the word appropriate automation, take it step by step, and start building your blocks from there.
That's great. Apologize for spelling or your name pronunciation. So it is Zurvan, right?
Perfect.
Okay, I'm perfect now. So Zurvan, I think thanks for insight. And what I hear, just to summarize, his perspective, he said one is sensing layer, where you have to sense what's happening on the floor. It is through electronics, several kind of sensors available. Vibration, he gave example of vibration sensor. It could be noise, it could be voltage, whatever. All this sensed information has to go to a hub, a data hub, which could be probably a server or something like that. So there is all this sensed data is converted into a data which can be riding on the internet or intranet, and then it resides in a server. And then analytics is the third layer, where the users are connected, who are being presented with the right view, customized view as they need for a specific thing.
So just one bit more is that what this really provides us in the long run is there's a transparency of the supply chain to the customer.
Absolutely.
And transparency of the customer's changing needs to the supply chain.
Absolutely.
And then bridging that is where your success in business will come from.
So in a manufacturing concept, pure production line concept, it brings all the data from production line, but it is not limited space. It goes to manufacturing. It can go to self-ordering of devices, based upon the predicted failure rate. It can go to that extent. So I think this is the new way, and enough deeper can be dug still. There are things that industries have done. Still, there is more innovation and things that you can do in your own way if you want to implement the smart manufacturing. And go step by step is another point that Zurvan suggested. Vaibhav, would you like to add on this?
Yeah. So thanks, Vinod. I think Zurvan has really, shared it in a nice nutshell. I'll just go a little back and I'll talk about the kind of challenges that could be there when we do smart manufacturing and when we are looking at starting the journey towards being smarter. Now, the biggest challenge, and this happens for any plant in a CPG industry, and being Marico, being in multiple kind of products, I'll say none of my plants would have the same requirement when we start. We are not at the same level. And our processes are also different. Our challenges are also different. So just to give you an example of product which is stable in the market, the demand would be for an efficiency. For a plant which is catering to a big range, the demand would be for more of flexibility. And that demand keeps changing. That requirement is diverse, and that defines the bottleneck process. As Amit had said, the flexibility is what will define. And I really agree that we need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of what marketing is thinking. What are the new products that are likely to be in? What are the new processes that are likely to be in? And hence, how do we build that flexibility? If your challenge is, say, reliability or efficiency, you're looking at a different process. So you need to identify that process where you need to work, and then start looking at implementation of smart manufacturing there. Now, when I say smart manufacturing, you can then start working on a typical first business process engineering process, kind of a project where you're eliminating the waste, eliminating the non-required activities there, making the process simple, and then making it smart where systems are talking to each other. There are multiple things which are happening. Another angle which gets missed out in many of these things is the people angle of it, because what happens is suddenly when you make everything smart, the expectations from people to analyze data, to read data, to know what to do with that data becomes higher. Okay, and then they need to understand, convert that data into information, and then take decisions accordingly. So somewhere that skilling also is a very, very important role. I've seen some cases where people miss out this step, and then and then what happens is people tend to bypass because they know, yaar, isse kuch nahi hoga, I'll do my way. This is how I've been doing it for years. Okay, and that's the other thing that happens with people. What also happens is this leads to a lot of continuous improvements. You start first, you do some pilots, get quick wins, which will help to get more traction to do more things, and that continuous improvements will help. But we shouldn't sit on those laurels. Okay, I've done 5 processes, I've done this, and my plant is now smart. You have to add, you have to look at more innovations, new things that are coming in, new technologies like the universal machines, the future expansion that you do. You need to have that entirely smart. How can you then not relearn the entire thing, not reinvent the wheel, so to speak? That becomes the second thing. And how do you create based on the first few pilots, how do you create that entire roadmap for the future for one plant and for the entire manufacturing supply chain in general becomes a critical activity. So one plant at a time, one process at a time is the best way to go. Do a pilot, fail. If you fail fast, move fast, do one more pilot. Okay, that's the beauty of today's system. Today we have the startup culture, so to speak, where you can just get up and start moving faster again. So that's the way it helps. And there are many people who are experts in the field. Try and get them on board. There are startups in every field of smart manufacturing today. You can get them on board just to help you out with your own processes, and be very clear with your end objective. That is the critical aspect for me.
Thanks, Vaibhav. I think Vaibhav put a lot of light on the management aspect of implementing this digital perspectives on shop floor and manufacturing. I think that was quite insightful. I mean, his recommendation is that run it like a project, be a top-down approach, so that you have a roadmap in terms of where you are heading to. It is not necessary to boil the ocean. It is okay to go step by steps, and also look at the perspectives where user has to change their ways, right? Because the same, if data is there but nobody looks at it, nobody does anything out of it, it is all useless. So thanks for the insights, Vaibhav. We all, is still fresh in memory, and it's still going on, right? That is our COVID, and it has impacted everything, right? Our day-to-day life and our industry and our, schools and everything around us is impacted by that. So do you see any perspectives where, because it's all digital and easy to reach, easy to visualize, in a digital way through intranet, do you see any synergy which is there between this pandemic or future threats of pandemics as well, right? Such situation can re-emerge again and again also. I mean, I don't wish that, but it's more of a preparedness. From that perspective, do we see some kind of synergy between this smarter way of manufacturing and expected future environment, or future threats on viruses and such kind of things? So Shirish, would you like to share your opinion and thoughts on this? You are from food industry, so I don't know how you have seen this pandemic. Sorry, you are on mute, Shirish. Can someone unmute Shirish? Yes. Go ahead, Shirish. No, Shirish, you are not audible.
I think some audio challenge. Number.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
maybe Vinod, if you allow, and again, because you were looking for a food, I mean, we at Johnson & Johnson, we talk consumer health, but there are a lot of these products which had a regular day-to-day demand.
So while Shirish's audio gets set up, why don't you put your viewpoint on this question if you can?
Hey, sorry if I was not audible. I was just trying to get into the shoes of what a food industry would have faced as a challenge. And if I was reflecting back on even our story as a consumer health, I think pandemic brought two things very clear. One, there was nothing a day which was well planned, and hence everyone found a smart way to work. And I think manufacturing was definitely critical to operate in all the constraint. It was all about speed, number of people, what you can. I think one important learning for us was, and in manufacturing, we always talk about fixed and variable, right? All my colleagues will say, yes, this is not new. People will say there's a fixed cost element, there's a fixed thing which can happen, and then there were variable. I guess this pandemic, and many of us have also learned to add that variable part a little larger, because running a line was not common for us to run 24 hours uninterrupted, because materials were not coming, people were not available. Safety was paramount for us to make sure that the plants are safe for people who are coming there. I think in that time, it was also important that cost, we couldn't in that pandemic also go with a cost increase, because also consumers were facing that same crunch. Now, balancing that was a good thing, that manufacturing, not only manufacturing, but the collaboration part, which we said, how is your partner working? What are suppliers trying to do to manage that cost? How can we still move it fast, because I can't carry inventory, DCs are stuck, customs were locked. The manufacturing held it pretty tight to say, if on a day I have to only run 2 shifts, but I have a very huge fixed cost, how can I variabilize? And then I guess some of my colleagues spoke about a very futuristic machine, which can actually say, I don't need to run all 10 lines in a day, but I can make that product on 4 lines. And that I think is very helpful, the way the industry like food and even other consumer health business had to learn. And I'm glad that many of these things now are becoming way of life for us, because you can't have dedicated lines to produce one particular product. You can't have a dedicated run for 4 hours or 8 hours necessarily. That all I think I will share as a learning, or as something which has happened well for manufacturing and for the industries to cater to that demand in a very efficient way. Maybe Shirish, if you are back with your audio, you can definitely.
Vinod, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we are.
You are audible now perfectly.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what has happened. It's okay. Yeah, I think thanks, Vinod, and I think there is a wonderful discussions, and then this is a fresh memory still with the pandemic, and I'm from food business. So biggest thing is like what has happened, this pandemic has created is a heightened consumer awareness about food safety, hygiene. Everybody wanted contactless food handling, and then health, immunity, and all those things. I think about where it is produced, how was a good housekeeping practices and other stuff actually. So it is like many other things has happened actually. And then this crisis has also, we say that it kind of say sometimes it is also blessings in disguise. I have seen many of such severe things also make us more resilient as a human beings, and then we come up with many solutions. And I can share that whatever initiatives we have decided to launch, it would have taken few more years. It really got preponed because of pandemic has hit us actually. And we decided to embrace the new normal. And then the question about how this digital age will contribute, and then is it the end of the this kind of situation, or in many other situations may come? So how we as an industry should get prepared. So a couple of things has happened actually. Everybody wanting like kind of no touch operations. I think many investments, and so a lot of stuff is happening in that area. It is like automations like robotics, cobotics, and material handling and other aspects. Many other things like handling input, say grains or powders or sugar and any other things through the silos. and then your transportation through the tankers, no? So that for the wheat, maida, sugar, and etc. That is already started. And then there is another big area is about specifically because of this virus, how we can create a clean air and air filtration sensitive. Basically, everything is about how we can minimize the bioacterial or viral load into the ecosystem wherever we are working. Actually, another big area is about usage of for the cleaning and sweeping and all that. Is there any possibility of using the robots in that areas also, and then X-ray machines, then vision sensor sorters and metal detectors and other stuff which we were using, but it had gone into the next levels. Many of us, I think some of my colleagues, so we spoke about the IoT sensors and then all those stuff about the temperature, moisture, humidity, and other stuff. Actually, it is really taking leap forward. Another big area I spoke about this air handling, air cleaning system. Lot of stuff is happening about this UVGI, UV lamp based to maintain or reduce the virological load. And there are some more things are coming up in this area. I think that will be another opportunity and areas for that. Like CCTV, drone monitoring, and all that stuff is big way coming up. Like I just wanted to share few things what at our end what we did. So it is like when it hit us, actually first challenge was that how to get people back and then ensure that everybody is earlier, like a lot of systems, like earlier systems, like we used to have logbooks and all that. Now entire thing is like we are already launched the project for the quality management system with the entire logbooks for our entire manufacturing system will get digitized. So I think, so there is basically wherever there is a manual interface, is there any possibility to do something? So that is what is being now currently getting implemented. Once data is digitized, again, I think now we have analytical AI, ML tools and all that. So it will throw many other things for us. And then as a management team, we will be able to act on it and take appropriate decision. Second area is about when people were entering inside. Earlier, there used to be like manual process and all that. We have now thermal imaging cameras and all that set up across all the factories. Anybody coming is measurement of temperature, face recognition, as well as those things now are digitally available. So that is another thing is happening. A lot of area what I spoke about this year and all that, we are already doing it. Some of these new things we are trying and doing some POCs in those areas. Other big areas what we are trying to do again from the food perspective, and it is nothing to do with specific pandemic. It is like a looping of the wet checkware integration and all that. You know that consumer products, it is millions and millions of the packets. So grammages and all that. So how we can accurately measure, because a lot of all these investments also needs to be supported and funded, so that how accurately I can measure the grammages and all that. So closed loop systems are already put in place last 1 year, actually, in spite of the pandemic, that thing has happened. Another stuff is about the it is about, we discussed some pointers around the manufacturing excellence and other stuff. So we are also taken big leap forward on that journey. We also wanted to go now in that digital. So we are piloting already like some of the technologies in the manufacturing excellence area. So that is another big area, and no touch operations. So I just wanted to give some, before closing, one example. Like we make a manufacture the Ashirwad data. So for Ashirwad data, for my factory, from getting the wheat, so there is a no touch operation. So we get a wheat through the say trailers or tanker trucks. It gets stippled at the factory, and then from there it is conveyed through the pneumatically conveyed to the silos. From silos, it goes into the cleaning and then section, which is at a manufacturing section. Finally, it gets into the whatever blending, mixing is needed. It happens automatic. It goes into the packaging. So once packet is formed, now we are looking into with robotic things and all that palletization. So if you see from wheat to the still last pallet, there is no touch kind of operation. So that is what I think things are happening, and we are progressing that for similar other categories, like we are in the beverages, we are in the snacks and noodles and other areas. So I think everywhere buzz is about, yeah, this is not the end. This pandemic may not be end. There may be another challenges will come on our way. How we can do that? Another big area about we are wanting, we have not yet done, but AR and VR for the people training actually, because many new situations will come, and then how we can train people and all that. So that is another area we are seriously looking into. So that is how I think we should get prepared and ready for any eventualities coming up. But I personally feel pandemic has really created different kind of urgency, exigency for the organizations. And earlier it may be, okay, it was like, okay, good to do. Now I personally feel it is a must. It is not no more, it is good to do things.
Thank you, Shirish. I think these are very much on ground, on sites that you shared, right? What we all passed through. And definitely touchless is the key behind which everyone is running. Every business, every manufacturing plant wants to see how things can go touchless. Also, plants and sites are looking at how things can be done in remote. I mean, like for monitoring, you don't need to stand before machines. So you can do it from your home also. So when the situation comes, you know, how things can switch to. So we used to say it like sustainability plan, or, you know, the plan of distress management, right? The people have to build that plan. The factories have to build that plan. If there is a distress situation, how do they, you know, manage about it, or go about that? How maximum you know, of the operations and things can be, you know, put onto remote if there is a need that is there. So that's how I think you know, Shirish has put up his. Now I wish that I could have gone for more questions, and it was very, very interesting discussion going on. I also believe that you know, some of the questions and some of the things that probably left out in this discussion might come in the Q&A session. So if there are any questions from audience, we could probably, panel can pick it up. So would you like to invite panel for the audience for asking questions? Kavya?
Hi, Vinod. The audience asked for a couple of questions which were already covered in the discussion. So as of now, there are no other further questions.
That's great. So let me just you know, kind of conclude it. And also I had one question that I did want to ask. Let me also finish that, because we are left with some time then. Maybe a few minutes, 2-3 minutes we should have. So India is a software hub, right? It's like considered a global hub of software making, and software and digitization. This is like one of the major part of Factory 4.0, where all the analytics, all the data transferring from sensors to IoT to the server, all this is part of also software related, software programming, coding, etc. So is there any kind of advantage that India gets in terms of moving at a faster pace into this into this space of smart manufacturing or IoTs, or it is just a level play field for India as well? So maybe I think Venkatesh is from digital and software. Venkatesh, why don't you quickly just have your view on this?
Hey, thanks, Vinod. I think it's definitely advantageous for manufacturing companies based out of India, with India being a global software hub. So we are, just to give a context, that we are one of the largest Center for Artificial Intelligence in Bosch, and many of Bosch's product gets made in India, because that's the kind of competence, new age competence at scale we have here in India. Apart from many software companies are focusing on the services. Services business, and the accessibility to the talent here in India is very good. Apart from that, there are quite a few startups and also India-based software companies which are developing hyper-local solutions to address Indian market. So definitely being in this ecosystem where there's a vibrant startup culture, where there's vibrant innovation happening, and a lot of competency, new age competency available at scale, it should be a very positive scenario for the Indian manufacturing companies to leverage that.
Okay. That's great. So I think Indian industries can go to it faster. I think because it's a local thing, and you have the engineers and coders sitting everywhere, every corner, and they can translate
Right.
your perspective into reality very, very fast, and it can be more customized solution actually for it. So it
But
was a
there are
great
also
discussion.
challenges, just a final comment,
Yes,
but there
yes.
are also challenges, right? So the Indian manufacturing industry, the asset diversity is quite large. You can find assets that are more than 30 years old to assets that are less than 5 years, 9 years old. So how do you infuse intelligence into this diverse OT landscape, into an asset landscape? The data heterogeneity at the plant is quite high. So that is one of the key challenges I think all of us is to have to overcome, especially in the Indian
I
context.
think
So yeah,
Venkatesh
go
touched
ahead.
upon, Venkatesh touched upon exactly the point that I wanted to, in that we have to be very cautious about that, because yes, we have capabilities which are at a global level, and we have applications which are at a base level, as you rightly put it, the legacy machines and that wide diverse range there. So that is the only word of caution. Go with appropriate and go with step by step and scaling up. And I think that bridge probably is something which I'm sure some startups will come up on. In fact, some have.
That's great. So I think we are already thinking very live about how to do things, how to make things move on. So that is a good excitement among ourselves. I mean, it is what audience. I am sure that audience is also very happy about taking something. Just to now conclude the session, I think it was a great, insightful discussion, and from variety of industries, right? We have people from cement and food and software and chemical. So quite a diverse panel. And I think we talked about defining the smart manufacturing and agility, and how it correlates, how it links to the values of Lean and Six Sigma from the past. Also, many of you suggested that smart as stands from certain vocabulary, it could be changed in the new world. We then talked about also about how to implement it, how to go step-by-step approach, and what are the key layers, through which it can be implemented. Also, I think Vaibhav talked about, how to put the right management approach to implement Factory 4.0. It should be top-driven. It can be step-by-step. It needs to have a roadmap for certain, etc. And then we talked about also some of the advantages that India could have being a software hub, and some of the challenges as well. And also we touched upon the topic of pandemic, and how this could also be a tool to prepare for fight or kind of immunity against any future pandemics, as well as how it can digitize the things on the floor, and it can help us fight the war better when the need comes. So this is broad, but I would like all of you to, any one of you, to add anything to this, as so that it kind of remains as a point of highlights from this session, and then we can close the session.
Yeah,
So,
Vinod, I would just like to throw a light on one more critical aspect. When we were thinking about implementing smart manufacturing, So it started with the customer priorities. So customer would relish the product to be of very good quality, delivered in time and at the optimum cost that he is ready to. So all of these became actually priorities. And the smart transformation actually started with both inside and outside. So within the organization, what are the areas when we can better serve one customer to the other? That means one department can better serve the other function. And also on the broader aspect, better serve the customer, partners, and vendors. So the entire value chain got covered. So the initial set of research that was done while implementing the smart manufacturing was meeting all of these people and understanding their friction in day-to-day affairs that they are managing. So if a stockist is not able to manage the stock, so what kind of friction he is having and why he is having those frictions? So why is he managing the entire day on a connecting on a basic phone and talking to people and noting on his notepad? So why not give him an app which basically enables him to track everything that he wants, and plus also integrate the ordering process to the company.
Right.
So all of these leads of what kind of solutions we need came actually from the people in the value chain.
Right.
And solving each of them at various stages based on the priorities, based on the inclination of the customer to solve a critical issue. So all of this gave us a roadmap for what we have achieved till now and what are the priorities for next 3 to 5 years. So all of this has come from that kind of intervention, from interactions with the all sorts of stakeholders.
Absolutely.
Vinod, I just wanted to add one point about the how we should, because
Sorry,
this is a journey.
We have just a couple of minutes before.
Yeah, just half minute, so 30 seconds. So basically, it is a digitization is a journey, and I personally feel we should take as a problem solving approach kind of stuff, because many of our machineries and all that existing things are already there. So new factories can come up with many new things. So identify like any kind of problem solving approach, take the major challenges and then take that problem, find out the digital solution, but be prepared for the failures, because everything will not succeed. So I think that needs to be, as a senior management team, needs to be understood that everything will not succeed. There could be some failures, and maybe more proof of concepts and all those needs to be done. Teams, very, very important. We discuss about people aspects, right team, right skill, attitudes, and all that will be very, very important. Then obviously celebrating the initial successes and all that. And commitment, we talk about top management commitment, very, very crucial. So I sincerely feel, and we practicing that, actually we should take this problem solving approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I also believe that reskilling is something that we will have to pay a lot of attention to, because we will have to do a lot of reskilling as the demands on the manufacturing workforce change.
Absolutely. Okay, that was a great session. Over to you, Kavya.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vinod. But on that note, I'm going to also thank all of our panelists in order to, share perspectives, a gamut of perspectives coming from different industries. And right from the start of the session till the end, I think we managed to gather just the kind of insights we were looking forward to. So I'm also going to thank Vinod for directing those questions beautifully. And I'm going to thank all our speakers, all our panelists who joined us this morning. Thank you very much for your presence with us. Thank you once again for being part of the summit.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.